Chapter 1. Which way is life leaning? The optimist fell 10 stories, and at each window bar he shouted to his friends, "All right so far." Was he, as one is now and then inclined to think, a silly-pated fool? Or was there some basis for the feeling which inspired his utterance? In other words, are those to whom life seems so bright, buoyant, even and interesting, in distinction from those to whom it seems so dark and complex and uncertain, to be described by this same, or by some kindred term? Then, there are those who have exchanged fears and forebodings, gloom, and at least apparent despair, with their many times attendant bodily ailments, for peace and health and strength and newness of power. In other words, they have come into a newness of life that is, to speak mildly, most interesting, and in some cases quite miraculous both to themselves and to their friends and acquaintances. Is it pure imagination? Then is imagination rather a good thing to have? Especially as in such vast numbers of cases these things last. It is true, moreover, of people of not any one peculiar trend of mind and thought in life, but of people of all descriptions and all types and so-called stations in life. Is it merely a difference of temperament that life seems so gloomy and uncertain and get nowhere to some, and so buoyant and certain and straight to the mark like to others? If so, is there somehow or somewhere a power to change or alter temperament? A part of what we might term the optimist philosophy is, if you can mend a situation, mend it. If you can't mend it, forget it. Is it good philosophy, or is it foolishness? To me, the term optimist marks the man or the woman of energy and common sense, in distinction from the one of either supine inactivity or that will allow himself or herself to get, as we say, all balled up, when in reality there is no occasion for it. Moreover, if this one was a silly-pated fool, then was Browning also when he wrote, "One who never turned his back, but marched breast forward, never doubted clouds would break, never dreamed, though right were worsted, wrong would triumph, held we fall to rise, are baffled to fight better, sleep to wake," was Samuel Johnson. When he said, "The habit of looking at the bright side of things is worth more than 1,000 a year," was Lowell. When he said, "Let us be of good cheer, remembering that the misfortunes hardest to bear are those that never come," or again, is G.K. Chesterton. When he says, "The optimist is a better reformer than the pessimist, and the man who believes life to be excellent is the one who alters it most," or, looking at the matter in a really serious manner, has the optimist something that the other fellow hasn't? Personally, I believe in the absolute reign of law, and in nothing, perhaps, more fully than in the law of cause and effect, the same as I believe that all life is from within out, and as is the inner, therefore, so always and necessarily is the outer. A few days ago, a friend who sees much of all phases of life, and whose daily work many times takes him among those whose lives and whose hardships and sufferings, both mental and physical, would cause ordinarily the stoutest heart that witnesses them to grow downcast and skeptical, said, "It's a good thing, after all, for one to have a little philosophy in his life. There are times when it stands him in right good hand. Where is there a philosophy of real value that the average man can get hold of, a philosophy that will give results, a philosophy that, as we say, will make good?" Judging from all the philosophical and religious systems in the world, it would seem that every man and woman could have no want whatever along this line. Or are they so complex, or are they so mixed with other things that so obscure their real working and vitalizing portions that we average mortals don't know just how to get hold of them? Undoubtedly, many of them are sadly in need of some simplifying process, or some process that will extract the really vital portions from the great mass of verbiage that enshrouds them, or from the great mass of extraneous matter that has crept in, practically to engulf them. The skilled machinist is, I believe, continually on the alert to simplify the splendid specimen of modern machinery by the elimination of every possible part that is not absolutely essential to its performing its real functions. To me, whatever in philosophy, in religion, or in any code of life principles has use, can be applied and used in the everyday problems of our common workaday life, is of value, and whatever hasn't is not only valueless, but is, moreover, a positive detriment in that it tends to keep from us the real vital laws and forces that, as we say, do the work. To me, if we consider terms not too technically, philosophy and religion are very similar and, in a sense, the same. They have also a very similar characteristic when we endeavor to apply to them both this great principle of use. I was reading only yesterday a portion of a very able sermon on the Sunday editorial page of one of our great dailies, in which the writer made a very strong plea for the value of allegiance to truth and the value of allegiance to religion. Nowhere, however, was there a word said in regard to just what was meant by truth or what was meant by religion. I dare say the sermon was of as little real practical value to 99 out of every 100 readers as it was to me. We read now and then that one of the great secrets of life is adjustment. Again, that the secret of life is harmony. Granting this, is there some great truth, some great central truth, so to speak, that we can adjust ourselves, our daily lives to? Some great central truth that we can square our lives by? Said one of the world's greatest teachers, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Is there some understandable, some universal truth or principle that all can accept, and that all lives can be squared by? I believe most profoundly that the optimist has something that the other fellow hasn't. If it is a common sense, get somewhere and more than a day optimism, I believe that its possessor has found primarily two great facts. The one is that there is a science of thought. The other is what might be termed the fact of the divinity of human life, the element of divinity with insights and powers that are greater than the ordinary human. End of chapter.